The illusion of instant control. I want you to pause for a moment and think about the last time you reacted impulsively. Maybe you snapped at someone, checked your phone for the third time in an hour, or felt that surge of anxiety without understanding why. In that moment, it probably felt like you chose to react, right? Like your awareness was the trigger and your action was deliberate. But here's the truth. Most of the time, that's not how it happens. Your body and brain are constantly running in two layers. One is fast, automatic, and invisible. It's the layer that flinches when something drops near your foot, that pulls your hand away from a hot stove, or even the layer that makes you scroll through social media without thinking. The other layer is slower, your conscious mind. It's the part that notices, labels, and claims responsibility for actions after they've already started. By the time you think you're making a choice, your body is already in motion. This is why control feels like an illusion. You're not actually commanding every move from the front seat. Most of the time, you're riding along while your subconscious steers the wheel, and your conscious mind only catches up afterward. That's why, when you reflect on a moment of regret, it feels both foreign and familiar. You did it, but not exactly in the way you thought. Take an everyday example. You grab your phone and start scrolling. You weren't planning to, right? It happened before your awareness even arrived. Later, you might think, I shouldn't have done that. But the reality is your hand moved first, and your mind joined the action after the fact. That split-second lag is tiny, but it's consistent. It's the gap between action and awareness, the space where real life operates without your conscious oversight. Understanding this changes everything. Once you accept that you don't control the first impulse, you stop beating yourself up for every automatic reaction. You stop expecting perfect, instant control. Instead, you start paying attention to what you can influence, the moments that follow. That's where your real power lies, not in stopping the first wave, but in steering it. You don't need to control the spark to shape the fire. How your brain acts before you know it. Let's unpack what's happening in that split second between stimulus and awareness. Your brain is not a single processor, it's a layered system. The part that moves first is older, faster, and optimized for survival. It's responsible for reflexes, immediate reactions, and the patterns you've repeated so often that they no longer require thought. The second part, the conscious mind, is slower. It observes, interprets, and tries to catch up. This lag is natural, built into your biology, and it's why you often feel like you acted before you had a chance to think. Consider a practical example. You're walking down the street and hear a car horn blaring nearby. Your body reacts instantly. Feet shift, heart rate spikes, muscles tense, before your mind even processes what happened. By the time your conscious awareness catches up, you're already taking action, perhaps stepping back or freezing. That automatic system is faster than thought, because evolution prioritized speed over deliberation. This also applies to habits and repeated behaviors. Think about your morning routine. You brush your teeth, make coffee, or check messages almost automatically. Your brain is running a series of pre-programmed actions that require minimal conscious attention. In these moments, your awareness is almost irrelevant. You're observing a machine you built for efficiency. This is why breaking habits is so hard. The automatic system is simply faster than your intentions. Understanding this timing gap explains a lot about why you feel out of control sometimes. You might swear you decided to react, but in reality, the action was already underway. Your conscious mind then jumps in post factum to justify, interpret, or take responsibility. Recognizing this is the first step toward taking meaningful influence over your behaviors. You start to see yourself not as the origin of every action, but as a participant who can guide what's already moving. Real-life moments you've already moved. Think about the last time you said something you immediately regretted. Maybe it was a sharp comment during a meeting, a quick reaction to a friend, or snapping at someone in traffic. In that instant, you likely felt like you made a conscious choice. But if you trace it back, your body and brain had already initiated the movement or the words before your mind fully realized what was happening. Your conscious awareness arrived moments later, catching up to an action that was already underway. Or consider something less emotionally charged, reaching for your phone first thing in the morning. You might convince yourself it's a conscious decision, but in truth, your hand moves before your reasoning does. The impulse is automatic, a product of habit and repetition. Later, your mind writes a narrative. I decided to check messages. The story feels accurate, but it's only partly true. The movement was already in motion. Even in subtle ways, this happens constantly. When you flinch at a sudden noise, jump out of instinct, or tense your muscles without realizing it, your body is acting ahead of your awareness. These micro-moments demonstrate a truth most people ignore. You're rarely the first mover in your own life. The realization can feel uncomfortable because it challenges your sense of control, but it also opens the door to understanding how your mind and body actually operate. Once you start noticing these patterns, the shift is immediate. You begin to see that your automatic self is in motion all the time. Recognizing this is grounding because it's not a flaw. It's a system designed for efficiency and survival. You can start observing yourself in these real-life moments, and that observation is the foundation for influence, pause, and eventually intentional action. The secret: delay. Awareness arrives too late. There's a subtle but powerful truth about your mind. Awareness is always slightly behind. It's not a malfunction, it's a feature. Your brain prioritizes speed and efficiency over real-time reporting. Reflexes, habits, and automatic reactions all start before your conscious mind has fully registered the situation. That tiny delay, just milliseconds, explains why you sometimes feel like you're out of control, even though your brain is functioning exactly as it should. Take a heated conversation, for example. Someone says something that triggers anger. Your body reacts immediately. Your heart rate rises, your jaw tightens, your voice tenses. By the time you're consciously aware of the anger, your body is already mid-reaction, ready to speak or defend yourself. That gap between stimulus and awareness is where all the action starts. And yet most people mistake the conscious realization as the trigger itself. It's why, when you reflect later, it feels as if you should have known better, but your awareness literally couldn't arrive any sooner. Even in small, everyday moments, this delay shapes your life. Reaching for a snack, glancing at your phone, or muttering a sarcastic comment. These actions often precede your awareness. You think you're making choices, but in reality, your automatic system has already engaged. The conscious mind then fills in the story, retroactively justifying or explaining what's happening. This is why understanding the timing gap is so important. It reveals where your influence truly lies and where it doesn't. Recognizing the secret delay shifts your perspective. Instead of blaming yourself for impulsive behavior, you start to see your conscious mind as a guide, not a commander. The first movement isn't yours to control, but the moments that follow, the adjustments you make, the choices you intervene in, those are. Awareness arriving late isn't a limitation. It's an opportunity to step in thoughtfully, to steer rather than struggle, and to cultivate the real influence you've been looking for. You're not the first mover, you're the editor. Here's a perspective shift that can change the way you see every reaction. You're rarely the originator of your actions. Instead, think of yourself as an editor. The first draft, the impulse, the habit, the automatic response, happens without your conscious input. Your job isn't to stop that first draft. Your job is to intervene, refine, and guide it. Consider a common example. You get frustrated in a conversation and feel the urge to snap back. Your body already tenses, your voice may rise, and your thoughts race. You can't prevent the initial reaction. That's your automatic system at work, but you can pause, breathe, and choose how the second half unfolds. Maybe you respond calmly. Maybe you step back before replying. Maybe you redirect the energy somewhere else. In all cases, your editing changes the outcome dramatically. Another everyday illustration is habit loops. You reach for a snack out of boredom. Your brain has initiated the movement before you've even realized it. Most people would blame themselves for a lack of willpower, but a shift in perspective reveals a different truth. You're not failing to control the start. You're failing to notice early enough to steer the sequence. The moment you recognize the action, you have the power to redirect or adjust it. This is your editorial influence in action. This mindset is liberating. Instead of chasing impossible perfection, always controlling every first impulse, you focus on where you have actual leverage. The first move belongs to your automatic system, and that's fine. What matters is what you do next, the intervention, the guidance, the choice you make once awareness arrives. Seeing yourself as the editor rather than the commander creates space for intentional living and reduces the constant internal friction of trying to be in control of every micro-movement. The power of the pause. Now that you understand you're the editor of your actions, the next step is learning to create a pause, the small, deliberate space between impulse and response. This pause is your opportunity to intervene, to choose rather than simply react. It's not about controlling the first moment. It's about shaping the moments that follow. Think about a situation where someone cuts you off in traffic. Your immediate reaction might be irritation or anger. Your body reacts first. Tense shoulders, a quick movement of your foot, a sharp breath. Without awareness, this reaction could escalate. A honk, an angry gesture, a curse. But if you cultivate a pause, even just 1 or 2 seconds, you can notice the reaction forming. That brief window lets you redirect your energy, breathe, slow your response, or let the incident pass without escalating. That split-second pause changes the outcome entirely. You can apply the same principle to habits. Reaching for your phone, eating when bored, or snapping in conversation often begins automatically. By introducing a conscious pause, you intercept the automatic pattern. The pause doesn't need to be dramatic, labeling your impulse silently. I'm about to check my phone, or I feel frustrated, gives your conscious mind space to redirect. It's a small action, but over time it rewires your responses, gradually shifting automatic behaviors toward intentional ones. The power of the pause is both practical and psychological. Psychologically, it reminds you that you have agency, the ability to choose, even if not at the first moment. Practically, it allows for better decision-making, improved emotional regulation, and greater consistency in your habits. The pause is the tool that turns awareness into influence, transforming the split-second lag between impulse and action into a point of control. Habits hijack your automatic system. One reason the pause is so crucial is that your habits run on autopilot, hijacking your automatic system before your conscious mind even arrives. Habits are essentially pre-programmed loops. Cue, routine, reward. The cue triggers your body and brain to act, the routine executes, and the reward reinforces the behavior. Because these loops are efficient and unconscious, they often bypass awareness entirely, making it feel like you suddenly acted without choice. Consider a common habit, checking your phone first thing in the morning. The alarm goes off, and before you even open your eyes fully, your hand reaches for the device. Your brain has been conditioned to respond automatically to the cue of waking. The first movement is entirely habitual, and your conscious mind only joins the sequence afterward. This is why guilt and frustration often follow. You feel like you should have done otherwise, but your automatic system is simply faster than intention. Habits don't just hijack physical actions, they hijack emotional responses too. Reacting angrily to a comment, snapping at a colleague, or panicking when things don't go as planned often occurs because your brain has learned patterns that fire without waiting for conscious input. By recognizing the role of habits in these automatic reactions, you see that it's not a flaw or a lack of willpower. It's a predictable system in action. The solution lies in combining awareness with intervention. By noticing these habitual patterns early, introducing a pause, and intentionally redirecting them, you gradually retrain the automatic system. The habits themselves don't disappear instantly, but your influence over them grows. Over time, repeated small interventions allow your conscious mind to steer behaviors that were once fully automatic, transforming the way you navigate daily life and your inner responses. How this explains your relationships. Understanding that your impulses and habits act before your awareness isn't just an internal insight. It reshapes how you navigate relationships. Many conflicts arise because we assume other people's reactions are deliberate, when in reality, they're often automatic, just like yours. Recognizing this pattern allows you to respond with awareness rather than reflex, reducing unnecessary tension and miscommunication. Take an argument with a partner as an example. They say something triggering, and their initial reaction might be sharp, defensive, or impatient. Your first instinct is to react in kind, which escalates the situation. But if you remember that their response, like yours, is partly automatic, you can pause. You notice the emotional energy forming, take a breath, and choose how to respond. The argument doesn't magically disappear, but your awareness creates a space where empathy and intentional communication can enter. Even in friendships or work settings, this principle applies. When a colleague responds abruptly, your first reaction might be irritation or defensiveness. Recognizing that the abruptness is likely an automatic response, not a calculated attack, changes how you engage. You can decide whether to address it calmly, let it pass, or redirect the conversation. This shift transforms reactive tension into conscious interaction. By understanding the mechanics of automatic behavior, you start seeing patterns in both yourself and others. You stop taking reactions personally and begin to navigate interactions with more clarity and patience. The awareness that both you and the people around you operate partially on autopilot allows for intentional, more grounded responses and ultimately, healthier, less reactive relationships. From reaction to mastery, awareness alone is not enough. Noticing that your impulses act before you realize it is only the first step. The next step is learning how to consistently intervene, redirect, and guide your actions, turning moments of automatic reaction into opportunities for mastery. This is where the real transformation happens. Start with small, manageable moments. For example, notice the urge to check your phone, reach for a snack, or snap in conversation. Instead of trying to stop the first movement, which is often impossible, focus on the split second that follows. Take a breath, label the impulse, and consciously decide the next step. Over time, these micro-interventions build a pattern of control and intention. Mastery is cumulative. One pause, one redirection, one moment of awareness at a time slowly rewires the automatic system. Your impulses don't vanish, but your influence over them grows. Soon, actions that once felt uncontrollable start aligning with your intentions. You begin to notice patterns in your behavior, predict them, and even prevent undesirable outcomes before they escalate. This shift isn't about perfection. It's about building momentum, skill, and self-trust. The journey from reaction to mastery is also deeply personal. Each intervention teaches you something about your limits, your tendencies, and your values. You learn not only what you do automatically, but why you do it, and how you can create a life that reflects choice rather than reflex. This is the essence of living intentionally. Recognizing that while the first movement may not be yours, everything that follows can be. Your real power lies after the first move. Here's the final insight that ties everything together. Your real power isn't in controlling the initial impulse. It's in guiding what comes next. The first movement, the automatic response, the reflexive action, these happen faster than conscious thought, and that's normal. What matters is your influence over the sequence that follows, the space where awareness and choice meet action. Imagine standing at the edge of a heated conversation, a sudden urge to check your phone, or the instinct to react with frustration. The automatic system has already acted in micro ways. Muscles tense, thoughts race, the first words are forming. Your conscious mind arrives slightly later, and that's exactly where your influence exists. You can pause, redirect, frame your next move, and create outcomes aligned with your intention. This is where freedom lives, not in denying impulses, but in choosing your response. This perspective is transformative because it reframes control. You no longer strive for the impossible goal of instant perfection. Instead, you invest in the moments where your presence and awareness actually matter. You guide your reactions, shape your habits, and engage intentionally with your life. The first movement may not be yours, but everything that follows can be. Your choices, your actions, and ultimately the life you create.